research is reporting. The result is a wider range of populations being affected, with the spread of the epidemic from rural to urban areas, and considerable increases opioid-related mortality observed in the black population. For example, the death rate from the opioids in the District of Columbia, where nearly half the residents are black, has tripled every year since 2013. Why is it spreading? Heroin, Kay told NBC News. Specifically, fentanyl-laced heroin, which is 25 to 50% times more powerful than straight heroin, and fast becoming the fix of choice for addicts in the big city. The heroin on the East Coast is much more lethal than the West Coast kind, because heroin is so cheap. Drug smugglers have taken to lacing it with fentanyl to boost profits and boost the high. Often the street-level dealers don't even know they're selling fentanyl-spiked heroin. In the West, junkies use black tar heroin. It looks more like molasses than the white or brownish powder that you buy on the East Coast. As a result, the heroin that addicts inject in Los Angeles or Seattle is less likely to be laced or even replaced with fentanyl, which is also a white powder. The worry is fentanyl is making its way to other drugs that unsuspecting people use, like cocaine. That is probably the one people are most concerned about, and it has real implications with places like California. In an earlier study published last year, Kane and two other researchers took note of what was already widely accepted, that the epidemic was driven in the 1990s and 2000s by prescription opioids as part of an aggressive marketing technique by the pharmaceutical industry and changing medical standards in diagnosis and treatment of chronic pain. People would get hooked on prescription painkillers and then gravitate to heroin, they said. African Americans were less affected because they were, quote, much lower opioid prescription rates than the black population and the white population, the study stated. In recent years, however, rates of heroin use and prescription opioid misuse in blacks and white have begun to converge. From 1999 to 2016, according to the study by Kane and his collaborators, which was released Friday, 231,264 men and 120,366 women died from opioid-related causes across the whole United States. The average death age for men was 39.8, and for women was 43 and a half, the researchers found. Opioid-related mortality, particularly mortality associated with synthetic opioids, has increased in the eastern United States, they concluded.
Huh?
First thing she said was, fentanyl. That's the first thing out of her mouth. She said, fentanyl. She said, these dudes don't know how to evolve. They still on that. I said, okay. So, that's a person.
I'm looking for this one. They had a program this morning on NPR. And as soon as I heard it, I woke up right away. You know, because sometimes things, and it was about the increase in drug addiction. I mean, heroin deaths on black people. See, at first, it was hitting white people real bad. Well, I can remember way back 20 years ago as white people, you know, in Oakland and around was getting more into heroin. Okay, as these painkillers got to, if somebody can look up the NPR, National Public Radio, today, the report from the University of Michigan on heroin, or on opiates. Over the years, it began to grow, and pretty soon, it began to, white people always have used more heroin than black people, but they never, you know, it never looked like that. You know, it never sounded like that. It sounded like it was just something that we did. But by the 80s and 90s, they jumped on it real big. And this study that just came out, let's see, well, what it talked about was, is this bromamine or something? Bromamine, that's what they call this new treatment drug. You have it?
I got one from 2018. They actually got a picture of it enrolled on the article. It's 20 of the bit about Andy Jamal.
Right.
The northeast part of it.
Right.
You know the McDonald's?
Yeah, right there.
Same point.
Yeah.
Now this one is an article. They got one. I didn't see it on their front page. They got an article from 18, and then they got
See about NPR if you can find the article just came out today. I was just reading it today. I should have been able to just jump right back to it. NPR. It was this morning on National Public Radio. But what does it say? Does it use the study at the University of Michigan? Right, that's the one I was, you could just keep on reading. But that's the one, it's from the study from University of Michigan, and it was talking about bromamine or something like that they give white folks to help them break the habit. Yeah, they call it bromamine also. But yeah, that's the original name, the one you just said. Okay. Yeah, basically is this, that I just wanted to make this point. First of all, it's the point about the first is the point about our evolution. Maybe in 2014, 2015, about 5 years ago, we start hearing about, in the big numbers, about all the white folks, you know, number one, they could afford it. In other words, the doctor would give them the painkiller patch before they give it to me and you, because they're just Europeans. But the big drug companies was telling them, pushing them, they used to give them samples so that they would start giving out They know once you give out a few handfuls of that, whatever they call it, that you're gonna have to come back and get some more. So the big drug companies, they having suits right now. Finally, now the first report, one of the a Latino brother way up in the government, he quit because he was trying to get these big companies busted, and they wouldn't do it. Then the next year, the biggest white lady in that, I think I mentioned this in Kutba once or twice, after 30 years of service, she quit because they're seeing the pattern that they're making so much of this opium and what have you. I mean, so much opioids available, so much medicine available that they say, if this go like this, that's making these big drug companies legal dope dealers. And that's what they was. And they got the Shackler, one of them, the Shackler, yeah, Shackler, yeah. They've been on the list for a long time, but wouldn't nobody touch them. See, they got everybody hooked good before they, you know what I mean, did anything about it. They know if you let something run for 5 or 10 years, that you're gonna have to have a big cleanup. So when I was listening to it this morning, I was looking at, just remember like on the TV, recently in the last few years, they had all these movies, A Good Boy and all of that. These movies were about white families that had a son or a daughter that got addicted to opiates. And they went through the same change that all the black families went through. You know, till they finally giving up the person and just drug everything down, their education, if they had kids, and they turned from this wonderful, nice, one of them was called A Good Boy, something like that, I forget. It was. So anyway, this was a good 3 and 4 years ago. This was all big. And what happened is that they were preparing the people. Now, white people, they have always responded different to white people. Just think about 3 and 4 years ago, 2 years ago even, when you would see commercials on TV. Drug addiction is not a crime, it's a disease. It needs treatment, right? They didn't say that with me and you. Cash payment, that's right. Black people can't afford it. I mean, that's right now, that's today. They won't prescribe, because the white people either got cash payment or they got good insurance. Yeah, right. They got good insurance. See, but the Negro don't have none of that. So we're talking about discrimination so bad, and it's genocidal. Not only like everything gets us 10 times as bad. There's stuff going around now. You know, wait, hold it a minute. I know the Negro, nowadays they saying Negro have low resistance, but coming out of slavery, we ain't had no low resistance and nothing. They built in a high resistance to everything. To germs, bacteria. Negroes could sleep in doo-doo, and they just jump up, shake it off, and go to work. because they bred it. You know that breeding that they did, they bred the Negro. So he was resistant to literally everything. You could imagine how long the Negro was living and he had no health care at all. They wanted to keep him alive. So they bred a monster. They bred a physical monster. They did that. When Nick the Greek said something about it, they was all mad at him. And I was saying, why are they mad at him? He's just telling the truth. We all say it, right? Remember in those days now, the Negro ran faster, jumped higher, and did everything. He was a petty Superman on all levels. Okay? Now as we're moving into these periods, right, dealing with things that we're not resistant to. We're not resistant to them, and it's taking a toll. It's taking a toll. So that was part of what we wanted to discuss tonight is the other night we had talked about our goal, our move right now, our hopes, dreams, and aspirations is to work with some of our people who have at least a possibility of a chance. That would mean the semi-educated, from junior college, BCUs, whatever they call them, all the way up. Because it's not that we're making a decision. The decision is already made. It's not that we're making a decision and saying, those people out there are not worth it. That's not what we're saying. We're saying it's a handful of us. We only, we can barely take care of ourselves, so we have to be focused. This is focus work in the beginning, and as we begin to recruit, we'll recruit some of those people to begin to look at their own people. For instance, if a person goes to college, either junior college, black university, or he is at least been able to avoid some of the traps. Usually they're going to be healthier. They have to have done some research and study or they wouldn't have the grades to even get in, right? So you almost have to target where there is in the beginning, where there's at least an opportunity, right? And that's the opportunity. Our people at colleges, universities, and it came to us when all this stuff about the Black Messiah, what did they call all that stuff? Right. Judas and the, okay. This is the 500th time that they're diverting us away from, right, from where we could be going or where we, let's say, should be going. And maybe we got bit by a hopeful bug that, the white folks saying, they lie all the time. But sometimes they tell a lie and you hope is the truth. Not hope is the truth, but, heroin addiction, black people, it's not happening to them anymore. And they showed all the places in West Virginia and all on the TV, right, for the last several years. Very few, they show Seattle, Washington, everywhere, but not around me and you. But we see it all the time. Shoot. When I go over to Baltimore, you can't go into a McDonald's without all that heroin paraphernalia, balloons and all that. And Baltimore is the only city I've seen people like almost touching the ground, they nodding so much. they have the old thing about the dope fiend. You know, he can be so still that the ashes on the cigarette burn. That used to be, was that big here too? You could tell how, cause see, you can't hold those. I have seen Negroes with a Pall Mall, that's a long cigarette, and the ashes have burnt all the way out. You know what I mean? That Negro is in, hey man. Hey man, it is unbelievable. Oh, it may sound funny, but that's true. I'm telling you, you can't find a standard Negro that can hold a cigarette, light a cigarette, and hold it to the ashes are 1 inch or even 2 inches. They could be this long almost. You ever seen the ashes on the cigarette? It's still, that means the nigga have, it ain't no wind blowing, and that Negro have not moved. He's okay. So I also want to mention our point. It's not bragging, but you could tell that since we were changing our focus to helping to rescue the European because he was in such deadly condition, that showed that we had a historical and a Quranic approach to this, that we wasn't, you know, call people to the way of Allah, you know what I mean? Work righteous deeds and say, I'm a Muslim. That's what we just, remember we've said it over and over again over there in Baltimore. In fact, that's the seat of all of this. The point is that was only a short period, seemed like. And there's other points in this, is that white people get a hand up all the time. You're gonna get first, shot at, like they got insurance, they got all of that, not all of them. I done seen, even just on TV, it was a white man, it was in Iowa, a white man, the police, and the girl was pregnant, and the white police took them and got them some place to stay with his own money. It was his uniform on. They don't do that to Negroes. He was so overcome that his humanity came out, but his humanity is racially based, it's white folks based. I'm sure it was 1,000 Negroes around there, but he didn't have no compassion for a woman that was pregnant or, a dope fiend baby or anything like that. Or getting a dope fiend and a dope fiend woman a place to stay. Great, they're gonna go there and shoot up more dope. That's what they're gonna do. But he didn't think about it, he was just overcome with compassion, with human compassion. The other point is that when you deal with priorities, if we had zillions of dollars and zillions of people, our priorities could be humanity. But we're in a race with all of this fitna for our people. And we have to do whatever we can right away. Number one, the things that lead you to drugs, it's possible that we'll hit them before white people will anyway. All the people that think, oh, I'm a slump in my grades, right? I run out of money for college, right? Broken home, broken family, all of that stuff. All of those will hit us way ahead of white people. So, in this struggle, to reawaken our people. What I'm saying is we've chosen the right target for what we're trying to do right now. Is imagine in many of our black colleges around big cities, anything could happen. You know, a wind could blow through there, and if it do, it's going to blow away the best of what we have, technically. They might be brainwashed, they might be scattered, but they're the best we got right now, right? So technically, it's also a target that if we can, because see, now, when we come to them with this awakening stuff, the things that we're pushing for them to avoid, they already know. It's common to, you know what I mean? Everybody knows what to burn you, what to knock you over, what to avoid, you know what I mean? If you want to get a little high, a little marijuana, it ain't gonna hurt you at all, maybe marijuana cookies and all of that, and a little bit of powder cocaine, but not crack, you know what I mean? And not crank, you know. So that's the points we wanted to make today. The other thing is the treatment always goes, it's just pitiful. Healthcare goes to certain people. It's a wonder we're still alive as a people. It's technically a miracle. With what the system have done against us and our health, see, if you go back 40, 50 years on back, there's a period when we were a healthier people than we are now. Well, we walked everywhere because we didn't have cars. That's the first thing. And then we boxed, we played basketball. How many playgrounds are active around here? They don't go to the playground. The people don't go. Where did you and I go? Always to the play. That's where we headed, to the playground with a baseball bat and a glove, or a basketball, bouncing it on the way to the play, right? That was for a couple of maybe even 3 generations, for sure. But we didn't need no health program down in the South picking cotton, and you was gonna walk all you needed to walk. You know, you didn't have to worry about exercise. Chopping cotton, picking cotton, all the work, you know, before this machinery, the stuff was serious work. Even the last 60 or 70 years in home building, remember, everybody used to have them little saws. You sawed everything. They didn't have these mechanical saws are all recently, let's say, 50, 60, okay, let's be fair, in the last 60 years. But before that, in the 50s, you sawed. If you was building a house, you had to saw everything, lift it up, hold it up. But anyway, this is also part of not a religious mission, but a religious, humane mission. And I think only a few people are thinking about it like that. I don't see our people even thinking about it in those terms. And the clock is ticking. Because everything, like the opiates that increased on the Negro, what about everything else? High blood pressure, anything you can name, even suicide. The Negro never would commit suicide. Now, okay. So, that's mainly the point that I wanted to make. If I wanted to make anything, it was that point. This is a period for us to to recognize, you know, and everybody, I can see the youth as they're going through their college periods. Most of us are relatively safe, relatively, because people have, usually by the time they become adult, and the young people around us, that don't mean there's no guarantee. You know, that don't mean there's no guarantee. So technically for all of us, we have to, I believe that it's part of our mission to, I want to back up a minute. I know the stuff we talk about, it seems like, you know, the dummy in the Quran that Allah offered you know, the responsibility to everything in the universe, and then the human being, he took it. So sometimes I think about us like that. Tell the truth. Do we ever pick a kind of an easy job, or like, yeah, just middle of the road? No. The hardest thing you can find, that's what we are. I don't know what it is, but that's the one that has to be solved, and nobody wants to do it. That's what As-Sabiqun do. That's why it's natural to, well, hey, if white people are out passing the Negro on heroin addiction and fentanyl, and they dying like flies, they had to number up to 70,000 a year. All the TV programs said, hey man, we better get busy because they're gonna knock off all the white folks. Well, actually, probably it was been us all the time. And they wanted to get their people's sympathy. Because even in the commercials, they don't show you the Negro is a nice guy and he has a illness. They show you young white people. They got illness. What about us? What about Johnny Boy? You know what I mean? So it goes back to the original thing. If nobody wants to take care of us, we have to take care of ourselves. If you want a chance at transgenerational activity, right, we have to refocus. That's part of what this fundraising and what, you know, and getting around and making people aware of their opportunities in life. But in order to even strive toward those opportunities, they have to be, one, alive. They have to have some vision of the future. They have to have health, you know what I mean, enough to, and conscious enough to move toward those things. So when you add up the possibilities for life and the things that are out to destroy life, it don't look that good. Forget about this temporary economy. The plastics in the ocean, all that stuff is real. It's just real. And not enough people are doing anything about it. Now, I don't know why we picked the hardest thing, homelessness. You know what I mean? Anybody ever see pictures of homelessness in California? What is it? Is it the difference between homelessness in D.C. and New York, East Coast homelessness? I tell you, in Oakland, I tell you what it looks like. You remember when you would see films of Soweto and corrugated metal over those? That's what it looked like in Oakland now. Not just right down the street. You can drive for miles. Miles. Last time I was out there, they said that homelessness increased 60-something% or something. That was just a few years ago, and it's getting worse. There's many things. Remember, California don't have the climate. See, if you could stay anywhere with one blanket or something like that in California. In the summer, you don't have to worry about rain. It doesn't rain in California in the summer. It just doesn't rain. But here, it rains and gets your stuff wet all summer, right? Although the weather's nice. If you got a big plastic bag, you can keep your stuff in there until it stops raining. But then it gets cold. You got a nice period, a nice end of September, October. You're on a roll. When you hit the end of November, December, January, February, look at it, March. Then when April comes, you're going to still get drowned. And when I first got here, on April 19th, there was a big snow. It don't happen like that too much now. One of the biggest snows they ever had here, way back in April. That was in 1990, I think. Okay. Now, what the system is saying, that this is the third wave of fentanyl and all that. And if you got heroin, fentanyl, and all these other stuff coming, and things are laced with it, it begins to look like a little bit of genocide. You know, of course, these things hit the most vulnerable group of the population. But while we are almost, it had the same article today talked about Latinos and blacks. See, this stuff be popping out. I remember when I came here, they said it was babies having babies. The highest birth rate among black people was in D.C. Remember that? It was, and you see tons of just kids that just going everywhere. How many you see recently? The last 10 years. They gave somebody something. When I was in California, thing I noticed was, it was real. You'd see a young Mexican girl with a tummy puffed out, 2 little kids on the side, and 1 in the baby carriage. That's why I see in 2000, they said that blacks and Latinos blacks and Mexicans was about even, 39 million apiece. That's what they said. I know they was lying. Because I saw 39 million Negroes and I don't know how many million Mexicans, because do y'all remember when, like for instance, Carolina didn't have no Mexicans? There was a time when D.C. didn't hardly have no Latinos. And it might have been a few Cubans down there. It might have been a few Puerto Ricans up in New York, right? And a few scrambled around, but it was no bunches, just bunches after bunches. Now you go to Iowa for the last 15 years, Iowa, you don't get no corn-fed whiter than Iowa. All those meat packing plants, all those, I know these are things we know, but only thing we're talking about is sometimes you can't just believe that everything bad is going to hit you harder than it do everybody else all the time. You know what I mean? Like even this coronavirus, hey, those numbers, you know, it don't look that good. Then sent me 50 messages about getting the shot. I said, just wait a while. I ain't up to it. You know what I mean? I just stay out of everybody's way. You know, the way they've been doing around here. And the numbers of black people. Now the numbers on opiates are exploding again. look like they've been here all the time, but you know, if you don't go out and see all of it yourself, you know, like this stuff about whites and opiates, I do remember my son and all of them saying this 20 years ago. And I remember driving through the spots where my friends was hanging out, and the white boys had their work clothes on, they'd stop and get them some heroin, you know. That was a long time ago. But not every time, all the time, that everything should hit us super heavy all the time. And the society don't have no sympathy for me and you. If we get to using heroin and stuff, we just dirty, low-down, rotten dope fiends. But if it's Timmy or Toddy, they all got an excuse for them. And we're not against them. They're human beings too. But hey, what is the saying? What about us, or what about me? Me too, right? Yeah, think about it. This thing is not playing. I'm gonna move toward a close. I don't want to be here too long. But between the environment and between the health care and the disappearance of the Negro, if there is a list, he's at the top of it. And ain't nothing he can do. He can't. All you have to do is teach him how to survive, how to avoid. You know what I mean? That seems like that's what I get. Basically, that's what our campaign is all about. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody. They want to, get people to the Lord Jesus Christ and stuff. A few of them, but I mean, they need a little stronger medicine right now. Something that's more sociologically and psychologically fulfilling. So anyway, also while we're here right now, we just got I'm gonna we have 8 properties, and the property taxes came in the other day. I just knocked off a few of these, and we got to get our taxes together fast, because just for this masjid, for each half a year, it's over $3,000. And a place like 4481, the tax is right next door, $827. Just for yeah. And okay, your joint up there on the hill, they used to give us a little break on it, but Brother Tufel's, what is it, $715. That's just, so that means it's $1,400 a year, but it's $700 for a part of the year. Yeah, here's the masjid. $3,262. Boy, that's big. Even the little T90 lots, they do us dirty. The lot last year we paid up there on 8th Street, 5045, we paid $1,200 or something like that. I don't know if y'all remember. This year is back to normal, $200 and something. So we should say hip hip hooray. No, they dirty, they mean.
It's only $200?
Yeah, this year it's only $200. Huh?
They fluctuate a stack, like from year to year.
No, here's what the 1 year they charged us, you pay 1% or whatever. 1 year they paid, 2010, I put out a flyer about it. We paid $5,200 for up there then. $5,200 for the lot on 8th Street. So you had to tell me. Okay, but now you have to remember how things go. If, for instance, the reason we might act funny with who we rent to and all that, just remember 8th Street, we gave that a total remodeling. But the damage those people did, not only did they owe us $6,000 or $7,000 in rent, but it cost us several $1,000s to clean that. No, many thousands of dollars just to clean it up. We had to bleach the whole thing 2 or 3 times just to make sure it was unbelievable. Yep. Didn't you get sick up there? The healthiest man in the community got sick up there. No, look, the stuff people do to her, I'm not a crybaby, but I'm just telling you. 52, good God Almighty. Up there, $1,136. That used to be a couple $100. Well, shoot, at least we got one. The lot across the street, I shouldn't even mention it because they only, no, it's $186 because they calling it one lot. I'm not going to say much because technically it's 3 lots. I don't want to blow out cover or anything, and I hope ain't nobody paying no attention. But that's almost 1,200 square feet. The standard lot is about, up on 8th Street is 8,000 square feet, 100 feet back and whatever it is across. So it's 4,000 square, yeah, it's 40 feet that way and 100 that way. Okay, those lots right there are a little different. They're 150 feet long and 30 feet wide. Those right there, where I am. But see, that drainage ditch down there, we technically, the people said, hey, I had decided I would give them $20,000 for that house. But then I said, well, first I'll make a reasonable offer. So I said, I'll give y'all $15,000. They said, we'll take it. Then they said, you want the lot next to us? That's the drainage ditch. Okay, it's a drainage ditch. And before, the government used to take care of that. When we bought it from them, they started charging us if there was any debris in there. So I haven't even had time, but we're going to charge them. They done gave us slips and $200-300 for this, that, and other, fines for the lot. They stopped doing it because they realized that, wait a minute, yeah, when the place used to be on 8th Street, I went down and I was going to try to build on that lot. They said, you can't build on that lot. That's a drainage ditch. So what the heck we doing with it for? What can we, it's the city's drainage ditch. So after I went down there inquiring, they realized that I done paid for something that actually belongs to them. I'm paying taxes on it right now because I can't build on it. It's a drainage ditch. They got all the infrastructure there. You see it's a drainage ditch. But I don't want to just cry about it, but the people here are uncivilized when it comes to the Negro. Okay. So I'm gonna make, remember we had those envelopes? I'm gonna make some of these, And, but, I'm gonna go on a trip this weekend, and it'll be about, taxes. But after a couple of weeks, I'm gonna go and come, and anybody wanna, like all the area around here, we're gonna turn this into, we got a lot of funds to raise, not only to pay the taxes, but for make up for what they've taken from us. Yeah, make up what they imagine the last 30 years. Well, especially the last 20 years when we didn't acquire all this property. How many taxes? And the dirt is, that's why they were attacking so much in Oakland. Because if they attack you and taking your money, you can't use it to build your property and turn it into a benefit. So for the last decade, they've been having a field day here in DC and in California. Because the goal was geographical integrity. We had certain things in mind. Number one, DC is turning white. And like now, you can't hardly buy nothing around in our neighborhood, right? Can't buy it. You know, that's why everybody say, if you leave, you can't get back here. It costs so much. Okay. Population has jumped from 450,000 to 500,000 to 700,000. Yeah, 700,000 people now in DC. I mean, an explosion. And of course, the euro is here. And so the reason they do those taxes like that is to get rid of us. To make it so everywhere we used to look out the window where it was woods, they want to build them things like they build over there. Yeah, that's what they want to do. Okay, inshallah, Allah will help us, and we'll use everything as a benefit. So, we're right on track with this period of time that we're just passing through and just opening up to is a renaissance period for us. That way, that means that we're getting out, getting active, and what it looks like is if there's going to be an Islamic or a human revival, we're going to have to do it. It don't look like nobody's in no hurry. You know what I mean? It just, to me, it don't look like nobody is in a hurry to do anything beneficial for the world in which we live in. It just don't look like that. So, are there any questions or comments about anything that we've talked about so far?
I saw a podcast about the book, a sister wrote called The Unapologetic Guide to Not Messing Up. And y'all can read it more. Y'all check out any interviews I was checking out. He's talking about all this stuff. He's talking about all this conversion, all this bad news. And it's having a bad effect on the youth. And to your point about going to the junior college and HBCUs, my daughter's a freshman in one of them, and it's just been a mental Vietnam for her the last 18 months. I mean, they didn't walk the stage, you know. They didn't, you know, the children care about proms and stuff. They didn't have one.
Right.
They didn't have no home, so all the hallmarks, you know, they're very
Right.
responsible.
Right.
So you bring up, you know, suicide. I think that suicide, you see, like nowadays, when I was younger in the 90s, it was just a little, you know, 40 and a blunt. But now they want way more stronger drugs. They need more escape than just marijuana and alcohol. And that's you talk to them, you're gonna be talking to some really, they're very smart, but at this time, they're very sensitive and they're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
People writing books and a lot of brothers and sisters are talking about, just like our mental health. It's like, the sister she talked about in her book, she got a rating system, like it's on a 10 is the ideal level of mental health for black person. She said, to be true about none of them, nobody, I don't even care. Will Smith ain't even in that 10. Obama ain't even in that 10. She said, the best you're going to do is an 8 or a 9. He said, but when you got some people who are constantly living at a 2 or 3 on the mental health scale. And he said, that's all it takes for somebody to do one thing to them, and they're off to the races, or they're off
Yeah.
to jail, or they.
Yeah. We are vulnerable. That's why it wasn't racist, but we just flipped the script back naturally to our young people because they're more vulnerable. You can see that the white people is helping theirs. They're just not helping ours. This is the thing. This is a rational decision. It's reasonable and it's rational. So we just have to make do for ourselves and do the best we can. We're not responsible for what's beyond our ability, but I believe it's an honor and a privilege to be able to at least take a stab at it. Yeah, we take a stab at it because, the other alternative is they're calling this the third wave of fentanyl. And like you say, if one of our children take one bad turn, there's no societal infrastructure to help them. You know what I mean? To help bring them back. Now they mobilizing the whole white world to go after their white children. And definitely they're not going to go to jail. We are. The articles they talk about, the Negro is still going to jail for drug addiction. I mean, big time. He don't get no breaks. Our children won't get no breaks. Yeah, right. Yeah. 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 Well, a lot of the stuff we're going to put out too, we're going to have a little committee to put together packages. And a lot of stuff we did last summer, Me Too, all that little stuff. All the stuff we was pushing toward is this stuff right here. And so, inshallah. So are there any questions, any comments? Oh, okay, all right. Very good, very good. Well, of course, tomorrow is Salatul Juma. I will probably leave. I may leave right away after Juma and take a little trip and come back maybe Sunday, yeah. But I'm gonna start on this fundraising. There's no tragedy in it. It just can have you moving. You have to get out and take care of it, or they'll take it from you. They'll be happy to take your property, So, and the response has not been, for black people is not that well. The immigrants and all that, they take care of all that stuff. Plus, all the hustles we did on the side, we always had the Eid hustle and all of that stuff. That stuff has been dead for a couple of years. So now this is different from before. Plus just general theft. If they kept all our money out of the banks or took everything that was in the bank, Like they just snatched $100,000 here, it's good. We'll get all that back. We're gonna sue the government for maybe $100 million, something like that, sure, why not? And I don't believe we can lose. There's no way we can lose. If we lose it, we'll still get more back than that by proving our case to the public. Yeah, if the government don't do it, we'll take it to the public. That's where you always go. That's the last redress of grievances anyway, is the public, you know. But you have to light a fire under the public. The public mind is pretty slow right now, you know. So, okay, if there's nothing else, inshallah, kula kali hada wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum.